My name is Dave Wilhelm. I'm a professor in the Business Administration Department at Wake Technical Community College in Raleigh, North Carolina. I teach business, management, and entrepreneurship courses in seated and online formats. This video is one in a series that I'm trying to ensure that my online students are getting the same information and the same quality that the seated students are getting. The topic is quantitative decision-making using expected value. But before we jump into the middle of expected value calculations, let's talk about a couple of preliminaries. One is data versus information. Then an example of personal qualitative decision-making. Quantitative means numbers, qualitative means not numbers. Then an example of quantitative scenario development, which is the step right before we start doing calculations with numbers to calculate expected value. A single expected value calculation example, and then a comparative expected value calculation where we're looking at two possible alternatives. Some problems for you to do. Comment on how risk pertains to expected value. And finally, some limitations on expected value. So here is some data. In particular, there are 234 data points on this slide. I used Excel to generate some random numbers, and I picked 234 data points because it's kind of overwhelming and because it's what would fit on the slides and still give you folks perhaps a chance to see the numbers. This data could be student test scores, could be some medical measurements, blood pressure, cholesterol, all those funny things they warn us about. It could be temperatures. Global warming's quite a topic these days. Whatever the type of measurements, they could be between two different groups. The students in Wake County versus the students in Durham County, perhaps, or the students in Wake County over time. So either one of those. But if you have to compare two groups of 234 data points, it's really pretty overwhelming. What we would rather have to determine what's going on or to make decisions is information. And instead of those 234 data points, how about 6 bits of information? In this case, the minimum, the maximum, the mean. Those are easy ones. The median, the one in the middle. The mode, the one with the most. And the standard deviation. If you want any other information on those 234 data points, Excel can probably provide them for you. It's pretty handy. But to make decisions, 234 data points versus 6 information pieces, I'll take the 6 every time. I think you would too. Here's our qualitative decision making. And this coming weekend, well, this is getting into fall, so maybe not this weekend, but spring or summer weekend, we could go to the beach, visit our great aunt, play volleyball. We can choose which of those, or more than one or all of them, we want to do. What happens as a result is not wholly under our control. So if we go to the beach, we can catch a cold, meet the girl or guy of our dreams, drown, whoops, have fun. Whether we do those or not, we can figure out what's more likely and base our decision on that, but we don't get quantitative about it. If we visit our great aunt, we could play cards, take her shopping, have lunch with her, perhaps be included in her will. Or we could play volleyball. We could have fun, win a game, socialize with friends, drink beer afterwards. If it's a real friendly, calm game, we could drink beer during the game. Beer left hand, hit the volleyball right hand. Or, let's see, if I'm really energetic, maybe I will pick up my great aunt, go to the beach, and play volleyball. I will hope great aunt Eva is on the other side. But this is qualitative decision making, and what it has in common with quantitative decision making is we can pick what we're going to do, but there is definitely uncertainty involved in what's going to happen as a result. The first step in expected value is the hard one. The calculations are easy. It's figuring out what are the possible outcomes and what are their probabilities. It's really the tough part. So perhaps a company would like to bring out a new product. They have the resources for one product, not all three of them. And by resources, it could be system design, hardware design, software design, testing, integration, marketing, any of those. So let's talk about these. So product A, if we bring out product A, what will the consumer reaction be? They're probably the most important. Will they buy a little, buy a lot? Will we make a profit? What actions might the competitors take as a reaction to our product A? How about suppliers? Will there be any change there? How about legal ramifications? So for product A, product B, and product C, let's take the best guess we can. And they are guesses. They may be informed guesses, but they are guesses on the probabilities of what might happen and the financial implications of each of those. And it's important to quantify them because this is going to be a business decision. It's going to be exclusive, only one of those products we can do, and our revenue and income may depend on them. So here's the calculation. Somehow in one of those focused brainstorming sessions, our gurus have figured out that there are 6 possibilities. There's a 10% chance that we're going to do great. And for our $1,000 investment, we're going to pull in $5,000. Woohoo! There's also a 10% chance we're going to go bust and won't get any return at all. And then a 20, 40, 10% probabilities of getting $2,000, $1,500, $1,000, or $500 back. So, do we want to invest that $1,000? Well, one way of doing it is just saying, hey, we might get $5,000, let's go for it. A more disciplined, quantitative approach might be to calculate the expected value. And we do that by multiplying each of the probabilities by the outcome associated with that. So there's a 10% chance of making $5,000. We multiply the 2 to get $500, and we call that the contribution or the intermediate product. Not sure it actually has a name. And we do that for each of the probabilities and outcomes. So now, instead of 6 combinations of probabilities and outcomes, we have 6 numbers, which isn't really much of an improvement. But if we add them together, we get what is termed the expected value. Compare this expected value to the $1,000 investment. It seems like a pretty good deal. Now, we're not going to get $1,650 back. Our gurus who went through the scenario development said we're either going to get 5 to 1,500, 1,500. But one way of measuring this, remember we're trying to go from data to information, is the expected value is $1,650. Very important is that the sum of the probabilities of the various scenarios should equal 1.0 or 100%. These do. If they don't equal 100%, well, if the sum of the probabilities is lower than 1 or 100%, then we either have not taken something into account or we've undervalued the probabilities for one of the scenarios. If it's bigger than 1.0 or 100%, then we've either overweighted one of the scenarios or come up with something that's impossible. At any rate, they have to equal 100% or it's just not a valid expected value calculation. In this case, and it's a more common case, we have $1,000 to invest. We can invest either in Project A or Project B, but we don't have enough to invest in both of them. So with these two, the possible outcomes are we will invest in Project A or Project B, whichever is the greatest, if at least one of them is greater than $1,000. If neither of them has an expected value greater than $1,000, we'll just pass up this investment opportunity and we will use our $1,000 for something else. Same calculation. Let's see. Project A, 30% chance of a home run with $5,000 return. However, also a 50% chance of 0. Project B, no chance of a home run, but also no chance of a 0, and a bunch of middling probabilities for various decent but not outstanding results. Same way as before, multiply the probability by the outcome. There's our 6 numbers for each. Sum them, and it turns out that Project A is going to have an expected value of 1,750, Project B only 1,600. If we've done those scenarios correctly, we should go with Project A, which has a higher expected value. Here are some problems for you. I've blown them up, so regardless of whether you're watching this on a computer, a television screen, or whatever, you should be able to see them. I will let each problem up for 5 seconds, and then I will show you the answer for 5 seconds. You can either just sit back, relax, and watch them, or you can do the pause, resume thing if you want to try the problems yourself. Either way, here we go. Okay, did you catch that last one? That was a trick question, if you're wondering. The reason it was a trick question, remember a few slides ago we talked the probabilities. Some of the probabilities have to be 1 or 100%. In this case, the sum of the probabilities is 1.2 or 120%. So either we've got a scenario that's impossible in there and the side did a probability, or we've overweighted one or more of the scenarios. At any rate, it doesn't work because the sum of the probabilities is not equal to 1 or 100%. That's expected value. It's nice, clean-cut decision-making. We develop some scenarios with probabilities and results, and that's the tough part. Once we get to the numbers, quantitative decision-making just flows real easy. If you've seen the show Deal or No Deal, I love that show because it's your basic expected value theory at work. If you're not familiar, there's a contestant, and the contestant may win anywhere from 1 cent to $1 million. And there are approximately 30 possibilities, and there are 30 people with envelopes or a briefcase, and every time the contestant picks one, that value is no longer possible. And after each choice, the MC guy says, would you like to keep playing, or would you take some amount of money and go home? Now, I kind of doubt that the contestant has expected value in mind, but they are doing some sort of calculation. They're looking at the amounts that are left and thinking, would I rather have a shot at that money, or should I call it quits and take the offer and go home? Ideally, they might, if they're totally using quantitative decision-making with expected value, anytime they're offered an amount greater than the expected value, they should be likely to take it and go home. But expected value is not the end of the world. For instance, in this case, I have some probabilities and amounts, the contributions, and the expected value is $36,000. If the announcer person offers me $5,000, would I take it? What if I needed $5,000 for surgery to save my life tomorrow? Regardless of this expected value of $36,000, there's this 40% chance of getting zero, and I won't be able to get the surgery, so I die. So expected value notwithstanding, I'll take the $5,000 and sign the check over to the hospital. On the other hand, if I need $100,000 for the surgery, I would not take $5,000 if the expected value was $36,000. I would not take $95,000 if it was offered, because I need $100,000. And expected value notwithstanding, again, I am going to keep trying to get that $100,000 until it's impossible. And then I'll go have a last meal. So expected value is interesting and it's extremely useful, but it's not the end of the world. There's also risk involved and a desperate, satisficing need to have a certain amount for whatever reason. The other limitation for expected value is each of these distributions, combinations of probabilities and results, has an expected value of $500. However, the distributions themselves are terribly different, but the expected value obscures that information. Remember, we're trying to get information out of data, and in doing so, we are losing some of the richness of that data. In this case, 5% chance of $10,000, 95% chance of nothing. Expected value, $500. The opposite one, you're almost sure to get $526 with a small chance of getting nothing. And then the one on the right has 11 possible values, each with the same probability, and also expected value of $500. So, which one would you like to be offered? It depends quite a bit on your risk aversion or your risk tolerance or even risk enjoyment. So I hope you've learned a bit about expected value and appreciated how to use it, as well as appreciated some of the limitations. My name is Dave Wilhelm. I'm a professor at Wake Tech Community College in Raleigh, North Carolina. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to send me an email.